Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a question that weighs on the minds of every entrepreneur, every leader, and honestly, every one of us who's ever faced a significant decision. How do you always make the right choice? It's that elusive perfect answer, isn't it? That single correct path that promises a smooth journey to success. We're going to unpack this by diving into a remarkably insightful piece titled The Better Choice, a real entrepreneur's perspective on decision-making, straight from the brilliant minds at Founders Lab.
And what's fascinating here right off the bat is that our source immediately and, quite frankly, bravely challenges the whole premise of that question.
Yeah, it really does.
It cuts right to the chase and offers a more nuanced and I think a far more realistic and empowering way to navigate uncertainty. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore why focusing on right or wrong might actually be a profound trap, one that can lead to paralysis. Instead, we'll uncover what it truly means to make a better choice. We'll be extracting key nuggets of wisdom on how to navigate the inherent messiness of uncertainty, how to leverage perspective as a strategic asset, and ultimately, how to build your vision with genuine clarity and enduring purpose, not just in business, but really in any complex situation you might face.
And this deep dive is built around that single source, the better choice. It's incredibly rich. It offers this deeply personal yet universally applicable framework for tackling those high-stakes decisions. It's packed with what I can only describe as aha moments. They'll resonate deeply whether you're launching a startup, leading a team, or just trying to make sense of a complex personal choice in your own life. It's concise, but incredibly profound, It cuts straight to the core of how truly successful individuals genuinely approach their most significant dilemmas, sort of stripping away the idealized notions and getting to the gritty truth.
Yeah, the real stuff.
Exactly. So get ready to shift your mindset because this isn't just about business strategies or entrepreneurial hacks. It's about cultivating a more effective and arguably a far less stressful way to approach decisions across all aspects of your life. It's about freeing yourself from that paralyzing grip of perfectionism and instead embracing intentional forward movement. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Kicking us off, the source begins with a direct quote that I think hits home for so many of us striving to build something meaningful. The entrepreneur states, in the world of entrepreneurship, people often ask me, how do you always make the right choice?
That question.
It's such a deeply relatable question, isn't it? This innate human desire for a guaranteed, infallible path, especially when the stakes are so incredibly high, whether it's your life savings, your reputation, or the well-being of your team, it's almost universal. We crave that certainty, that blueprint that tells us unequivocally, this is the way.
And the entrepreneur's honest answer immediately shatters that illusion. They respond directly, I don't. Because in this game, it's rarely about right versus wrong. It's about better.
It's about better.
This, to me, is the absolute core concept we need to grasp in this deep dive. Decisions, particularly in dynamic, fast-evolving environments like entrepreneurship, they just don't exist on a rigid binary. It's not a simple switch between black and white, correct and incorrect.
Right. It's not yes or no.
Exactly. Instead, they exist on this vast, nuanced spectrum of possibilities. The source explicitly denies the existence of a universal blueprint, that one-size-fits-all solution everyone seems to be searching for. It emphasizes quite powerfully that what works for one founder might ruin another.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
It is.
Yeah.
And think about that for a moment. This challenges the pervasive, often oversimplified advice that bombards aspiring entrepreneurs, the do this, not that pronouncements you hear everywhere.
Oh, yeah, all the gurus.
Right. What's crucial here is recognizing that context, individual circumstances, the founder's unique personality, their specific resources, their overarching vision, all of that is paramount. There's no secret formula that applies equally to every venture, every market condition, or every stage of a business.
So trying to force it into a right box is actually dangerous.
It can be incredibly detrimental to your business, yeah, and also really damaging to your peace of mind and confidence as a decision maker. You just beat yourself up.
Okay, let's unpack this further because it ties directly into another profound observation from the source. The entrepreneur says, you only know what's right in hindsight. And even then, it's a biased memory.
The hindsight trap.
This is such a critical point for anyone reflecting on past decisions. Why is hindsight so incredibly deceptive when it comes to decision-making? It feels like we should be able to look back, learn, and apply lessons, but the entrepreneur suggests it's far from that simple.
It's truly the illusion of the right choice at play here, and it's powered by some deep-seated cognitive biases. When a venture succeeds or a particular decision leads to a remarkably positive outcome, Our minds naturally, almost unconsciously, reconstruct the past.
Yeah, we rewrite the story.
We do. We create a narrative that makes that specific decision seem obvious, even inevitable, in retrospect. We forget the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the incredibly limited information we had at the time.
All the other options we were considering.
Exactly. And the multitude of other seemingly viable or even more appealing paths that were equally possible. This is a classic example of hindsight bias, the I knew it all along phenomenon.
Right.
And it often works hand in hand with confirmation bias, where we seek out and favor information that confirms our now established belief that the decision was indeed right. Our brains are just wired to create coherent, simple narratives, making past complex decisions seem logical and clear after the fact.
Which stops us learning properly from the actual process.
Precisely. It subtly, yet profoundly, undermines our ability to learn from the true complexity of real-time decision-making, which is often messy, uncertain, and filled with ambiguous data points. If we convince ourselves that a past successful decision was always right, we don't deeply analyze the actual conditions, the specific risks taken, the internal struggle, or the critical thinking that truly went into it.
We just label it right and move on.
Yeah, missing a vital learning opportunity. The Force beautifully illustrates this with a powerful line. What feels like a mistake to someone on the outside might be a breakthrough in disguise for someone inside the arena.
Ooh, I like that. Inside the arena.
It powerfully highlights the subjective nature of what truly constitutes right or wrong, depending entirely on one's perspective, their internal experience, and the lessons extracted. It's a stark reminder that external observers only see the outcome, not the intricate journey of deliberation, uncertainty, and often personal sacrifice that led to it.
That makes so much sense. We idolize the idea of the right decision because, at its core, it offers comfort. It makes the inherent uncertainty of building something from scratch or even just navigating life a little easier to swallow.
Really? It's psychological safety.
Knowing there's a correct answer out there, even if we haven't found it yet, provides that security. But, as the entrepreneur points out with brutal honesty, when you're building something from the ground up, your choices are rarely clear-cut. They're messy, layered, and often made with limited information and limited time.
Reality check.
This truly raises an important question. What's the real cost of chasing this elusive illusion of perfection?
Oh, the cost is significant, and it manifests in several deeply impactful ways, most notably as analysis paralysis.
Yes, getting stuck.
Exactly. Imagine standing at a massive buffet, an overwhelming array of tempting dishes, so many choices, that you end up starving because you can't decide what to put on your plate. That's analysis paralysis.
Great analogy.
The entrepreneur mentions being bombarded with advice. Do this, avoid that, follow the data, trust your gut. This onslaught of conflicting voices from mentors, books, data, peers, each claiming to know the right path, it just exacerbates the pressure exponentially.
You end up spinning your wheels.
Completely. You find yourself trying to synthesize contradictory guidance, which often leads to an inability to make any decision at all. The quest for perfection, for the elusive right choice, can actually profoundly hinder progress, especially in dynamic environments like entrepreneurship, where decisions need to be made quickly with incomplete info.
If you wait for perfect clarity, you miss the boat.
Absolutely. The market moves on, competitors gain ground, opportunities vanish. It's a profound form of self-sabotage, where the fear of making the wrong choice becomes so overwhelming that it prevents any choice from being made.
And that's not just for entrepreneurs, right? It applies to everyone.
Oh, absolutely. It's profoundly relevant to you, our listener, in your own daily life. Are you perhaps holding back from making a crucial choice, career, personal? Because you're waiting for that elusive right answer, that perfect moment that may never ever arrive.
Spending endless hours researching, maybe?
Right. Talking to everyone, running countless scenarios, but never actually pulling the trigger. The source strongly encourages us to recognize that this waiting, this paralysis, is often far more detrimental than making an imperfect yet intentional step forward. It drains resources, erodes confidence, and, most critically, squanders time, the one non-renewable asset we all have.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, where the entrepreneur shares that truly powerful shift in their mindset. They say, I no longer ask, is this right or wrong? Instead, I ask, which choice is better for me, my team, and my vision right now? That right now part feels incredibly important, emphasizing immediacy and context over some abstract ideal. It's a radical departure from the conventional wisdom.
Indeed, that shift is absolutely profound, because it moves us from a rigid, binary, often fear-driven evaluation to a dynamic, iterative, and deeply intentional framework. The fourth defines better, not as perfect, but as intentional.
Intentional, okay.
That intentionality is crucial. It means the choice is made with clear purpose and aligns deeply with three specific pillars: your values, your context, and your capacity.
Values, context, capacity. Let's break those down.
Okay, so first, values refers to what truly matters to you, your core beliefs, your long-term vision for the impact you want to make, what defines success beyond just financial metrics.
Like ethical sourcing or work-life balance.
Exactly. For one founder, it might be relentless innovation. For another, ethical sourcing. For a third, team well-being. If a choice doesn't align with these fundamental principles, it's highly unlikely to be better for you in the long run, even if it seems expedient or profitable short-term. It can lead to this sense of misalignment, like you're building something that feels wrong.
Building something at odds with yourself. Okay. Second pillar.
Second, context. This is about the current situation you're operating with in your available resources, the prevailing market conditions, the competitive landscape, the external environment, the real world around you right now.
So what works in a boom might fail in a downturn.
Precisely. What might be an excellent choice in a booming market with ample funding could be disastrous during an economic downturn or when resources are scarce. This requires a keen, often real-time awareness of your specific circumstances, rather than blindly following general advice from a different era or industry.
Got it. And the third, capacity.
Third is capacity. This relates to what you and your team can realistically handle right now, your collective bandwidth, your current skill sets, your energy levels, your mental fortitude.
Like, can we actually do this?
Exactly. Overcommitting or taking on something beyond your current capacity, no matter how right it seems on paper, can lead directly to burnout, missed deadlines, compromised quality, and ultimately failure. Imagine a small team trying to take on a project that needs a much larger organization.
Yeah, it might look like a great opportunity, but it could break them.
It could. So aligning with these three dynamic elements, values, context, and capacity, makes a choice more likely to move you forward, even if it's just one small, gritty step at a time.
Small, gritty steps. I like that.
It acknowledges that progress is often incremental, that perfection is a myth, and that even a small, purposeful step is vastly superior to standing still, paralyzed by the unattainable search for flawlessness. It's an agile approach to decision-making, designed for real-world complexity.
The source provides two powerful, almost counterintuitive examples of better choices that really illustrate this. The first one is, sometimes the better choice is walking away from a sure thing because it costs you your peace. That's incredibly counterintuitive for an entrepreneur, isn't it? We're often told, almost indoctrinated, to chase every opportunity, leverage every advantage, especially a sure thing. What does it mean to cost your peace in this context?
It absolutely is counterintuitive, and it speaks volumes about the depth and maturity of this perspective. This example highlights that better isn't solely about maximizing financial gain or external validation. It's about a more holistic, sustainable approach.
The human element.
Exactly. Recognizing the human element at its core. A sure thing might offer immediate, undeniable financial benefits, maybe a guaranteed return or significant prestige. But if it fundamentally compromises your personal well-being, your sleep, your mental health, your ethical boundaries, your core values,
the long-term cost is huge.
devastating. It's not just a few sleepless nights. It's the quiet erosion of your purpose, the feeling of building someone else's dream, the slow loss of joy in your work, or that constant gnawing sensation that you're compromising who you are.
So you could end up rich but hollow.
Precisely. Wealthy but profoundly hollow, and ultimately unable to sustain the energy and passion required for true long-term success. This choice prioritizes personal sustainability, recognizing that the entrepreneur's mental, emotional, and even spiritual health is a critical, irreplaceable asset.
You need that to keep going.
Absolutely. Without it, even the most outwardly profitable venture is unlikely to thrive, or at least unlikely to bring you genuine fulfillment. It underscores that true success encompasses not just what you build, but how you build it, and crucially, the person you become in the process.
And then the other example given is, other times it's taking a risky bet because you believe in your intuition more than in the market trends.
The gut feeling.
This raises an important, almost perennial question for so many of us, especially in a data-driven world. When do you trust your gut over data? Especially when the market is screaming something different or the numbers just don't seem to add up on paper.
Yeah, this is where the truly personal aspect of better shines through, and where courage often meets conviction. While data is undeniably crucial and should always inform decisions, there are moments, particularly in innovation when entering uncharted territory or when disrupting an established industry.
Where the data just isn't there yet.
Exactly, or it points backwards. In those moments, your deeply held intuition can be your most powerful guide. But let's define intuition here, because it's not some mystical, baseless feeling.
Right, it's not magic.
No. In this context, intuition is often an accumulation of vast tacit knowledge, years of experience, pattern recognition that happens subconsciously, and an implicit understanding of a problem space that simply hasn't been quantified by current market data. Your gut might be seeing possibilities or anticipating shifts that current trends haven't yet captured because they're too new, too niche, or too radical.
Like revolutionary products no one knew they needed.
Precisely. Think of those. They were initially dismissed by market research. The source emphasizes that the better choice is personal. It's not about pleasing others. It's about building with clarity and owning the consequence.
Yeah, owning the consequences. That's key.
It is. It means that whether you prioritize peace over a sure thing or take a calculated risk based on deep, informed conviction, the decision is rooted in your unique understanding of your vision, your strengths, your appetite for risk, and what you're willing to commit to.
Building something that resonates with you.
Yes, rather than simply conforming to external expectations, prevailing trends, or the loudest voices in the room, this requires a profound level of self-awareness understanding when your intuition is a whisper of genius built on experience versus just, wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's a tough distinction.
It is. And for you, our listener, how can you begin to apply this framework to your own significant decisions? Can you start to distinguish between societal expectations, or what others tell you is right, and what is truly better for your unique situation, your values, and your personal long-term sustainability? This requires not just critical thinking, but a profound level of courage, self-trust, and a willingness to be accountable for your unique path.
This brings us to another profound insight from the source that truly reframes how we look at setbacks. The entrepreneur points out, the same situation can look completely different depending on who's looking. One entrepreneur sees failure, another sees a pivot, one sees rejection, another sees redirection. Perspective.
This is such a powerful idea about the transformative power of our own perspective, isn't it? It suggests that the reality isn't fixed, but rather shaped by our internal lens.
It absolutely is. Perspective is presented not just as a passive lens through which we view the world, but as an active, powerful tool that we can consciously wield.
So we choose how we see things.
In a very real sense, yes. What this source illuminates is that our interpretation of events is not fixed, but rather a choice, an active mental reframing. Adopting a growth mindset, as highlighted by the entrepreneur, allows for a truly transformative reframing of challenges.
Okay, explain that. Failure versus pivot. Right. If you see a business setback, like a product launch that flops, purely as failure, it's a dead end. It can lead to self-recrimination, demotivation, maybe abandoning the project prematurely.
Yeah, you just give up.
But if you consciously reframe it as a pivot, it becomes an opportunity to adjust, to iterate, to innovate, and to move in a new, perhaps more promising direction. It transforms a perceived disaster into a data point for learning.
And rejection versus redirection.
Similarly, rejection may be from an investor, a customer, a partner. It can be deeply demoralizing. Feels personal.
Definitely.
But seeing it consciously as redirection opens up the possibility that a different, perhaps more aligned path awaits. Maybe that investor wasn't the right fit for your long-term vision, or that customer wasn't your ideal market. Maybe a better opportunity is just around the corner waiting for you to be free to pursue it.
So it's about changing the narrative in your head.
Exactly. This reframing from perfection to progress fundamentally changes everything about your journey. When you consciously choose to prioritize growth over guarantees and lessons over labels, you shift your focus from desperately avoiding mistakes to actively seeking insights from every experience.
Every outcome becomes data.
Yes. Whether externally judged as positive or negative, it becomes a valuable data point, a step in your learning journey, rather than a definitive judgment on your capabilities or the viability of your vision. It's about accepting that the path is rarely straight, setbacks are inherent, and your response is far more important than the setback itself.
That sounds incredibly empowering. It builds resilience.
It really does.
Yeah.
It empowers you to remain resilient rather than being derailed by temporary hurdles.
So what does this all mean for building a truly resilient mindset, especially in the volatile world of entrepreneurship? The source suggests that when you make this profound shift in perspective, you stop needing to be right, and you start striving to be real, adaptable, conscious, and constantly learning.
Striving to be real.
This sounds like the ultimate entrepreneurial superpower, a set of qualities that allows you to not just survive, but to truly thrive.
It truly is. These three qualities, adaptable, conscious, and constantly learning, are the pillars of a resilient, effective, and deeply fulfilling approach to decision-making and building. Let's delve into each one.
Okay, adaptable.
To be adaptable means you're not rigidly adhering to an initial right plan, a preconceived notion of how things should go. Instead, you possess the mental and operational flexibility to change course based on new information, unexpected market shifts, or evolving circumstances.
Because things always change.
Always. The world of entrepreneurship is fluid, dynamic, unpredictable. Clinging to outdated strategies simply because they were once right is a recipe for disaster. This means embracing iterative processes, rapid prototyping, being comfortable with the minimum viable product idea.
Always testing, learning, adjusting.
Exactly. Rather than waiting for some perfect final solution that might never come or might be irrelevant by the time it arrives.
Okay, and conscious.
Then there's being conscious. This means making decisions with a deep awareness of your values, your current context, and your genuine capacity, as we discussed earlier. It's about being present and intentional.
Not just reacting.
Precisely. Not blindly following external pressures, generalized advice that may not apply, or outdated assumptions. It's an active, thoughtful engagement with each choice, asking yourself, why am I making this decision? What are the underlying assumptions? How does it align with my deeper purpose?
How do you cultivate that?
Well, through practices like mindful reflection, maybe journaling your decision-making process, or actively seeking diverse feedback to challenge your own blind spots. An unconscious decision, by contrast, is reactive, often driven by fear, external pressure, or just habit.
Okay, and the last one, constantly learning.
And finally, constantly learning means embracing every outcome, even perceived mistakes or detours, as valuable data points for future choices. It's about having an insatiable curiosity and a willingness to dissect what happened, understand why, and integrate that knowledge moving forward without dwelling in regret or self-blame.
So turning errors into stepping stones.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding errors, but about transforming every error into a stepping stone. This raises an important question for us all. How does actively cultivating this perspective, this relentless adaptability, consciousness, and commitment to learning help you not just overcome setbacks, but truly transform them into opportunities for profound growth rather than being completely derailed by them?
It changes the whole game.
It transforms obstacles into essential lessons, ensuring that every experience, no matter how challenging, contributes to your wisdom and strengthens your resolve, rather than diminishing it. You don't just survive the journey, you truly evolve, becoming a wiser, more resilient leader with every challenge.
The entrepreneur in our source openly admits that their journey hasn't been linear, describing it as filled with fast calls, slow calls, and regrettable ones.
The messy reality.
But crucially, they don't dwell on wrong moves. This is such a critical distinction. Why is that crucial for growth, especially when we're so often told to meticulously learn from our mistakes? How do you learn without dwelling in that past regret?
This is a critical nuance that the source makes so clear, and it's a point often misunderstood. Not dwelling on wrong moves doesn't mean ignoring them. It means embracing their transformative power without succumbing to paralyzing regret.
Okay, so how does that work?
The entrepreneur states, because even the so-called mistakes taught me something I couldn't have learned otherwise. This is where real-world experience, even if painful or challenging, often provides deeper, more visceral, and ultimately more lasting lessons than theoretical knowledge or textbook learning ever could.
Learning by doing, even the hard way.
Exactly. When you're in the arena, as the saying goes, the consequences are real, the stakes are high, and those experiences, the mistakes, the missteps, etch themselves into your understanding in a way that simply reading a case study cannot. You feel the impact, you understand the causality, and that emotional connection solidifies the learning.
But how do you avoid getting stuck in the what-ifs?
Well, the process involves a healthy, often swift period of analysis. This means taking the time to understand what went wrong, why it went wrong, what were the contributing factors, the faulty assumptions, the misread signals, and what could be done differently next time.
Analyze, don't agonize.
Perfect way to put it. Then, crucially, you must release the emotional baggage of regret, guilt, or self-blame. Dwelling keeps you stuck in the past, replaying scenarios, draining your energy.
Right.
Learning, on the other hand, extracts the valuable data, integrates it into your mental model for future decisions, and then propels you forward.
So it's about acceptance and moving on.
Yes, acceptance, adjustment, and forward momentum. It requires a resilient mindset that views mistakes as data points, as experiments that yielded unexpected results, rather than as personal failings or ultimate judgments on your capabilities.
Okay, so if this approach to decision-making isn't about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them and consciously making better choices, it sounds like it profoundly shapes the person making the decisions, not just the decisions themselves. The source claims better choices build better leaders.
I strongly agree with that.
What specific qualities does it highlight that are fostered by this unique mindset?
The source outlines several key qualities that are profoundly honed when leaders consistently strive for better choices, moving beyond that right-wrong binary.
Right.
First, this process teaches them to weigh options with genuine thoroughness.
And not just jump to conclusions.
Exactly. It means approaching decisions with a thoughtful, intentional evaluation process, rather than rushing into a predetermined right answer or making a reactive choice based on impulse or pressure. They consider multiple perspectives, map out potential outcomes, understand the trade-offs. It's a holistic view.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, it cultivates the crucial ability to listen deeply. This is more than just hearing words. It's active listening, seeking out diverse perspectives, understanding nuances, absorbing feedback even, and especially when it's critical or challenging.
Being open to being wrong, basically.
Well, being open to other perspectives, being better,
Yes.
Better leaders are truly open to input from their team, customers, mentors, knowing they don't have all the answers, and that collective wisdom is powerful. This fosters psychological safety, too.
So people feel safe speaking up.
Exactly. Third, they learn to communicate clearly. This involves transparency in their decision-making process and rationale, not just announcing the outcome. Ensuring the team understands why a particular better choice was made, even when it's uncertain or difficult, fosters alignment and trust.
Demystifies the process.
It does. And finally, and perhaps most powerfully, this mindset teaches leaders to accept responsibility with grace.
Accountability.
Yes, true accountability without self-blame or defensiveness. A leader who can own the consequences of their better choices, even when they lead to less than ideal outcomes, builds immense credibility. It fosters a culture where it's safe for others to take calculated risks and learn without fear.
The impact of a leader saying, I own that, is huge.
Immense. Compare that to one who deflects blame. These qualities collectively create a stronger, more resilient leader and team. They build trust, psychological safety, continuous improvement, and authentic leadership, making the whole enterprise more adaptable and sustainable.
This whole approach, this journey of making better choices, ultimately culminates in shaping a business that is not only profitable, but sustainable one that reflects who you are and who you're becoming. What's the profound significance of that personal reflection in the business context? It goes so far beyond mere financials, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is perhaps one of the most profound and often overlooked takeaways. It emphasizes the truly holistic nature of sustainability, extending far beyond just financial viability. When decisions are consistently aligned with your evolving values, context, capacity, when you are truly authentically making better choices for you.
The founder, the leader.
Yes. And for your unique vision, your business naturally becomes a more authentic, living extension of your identity and your deepest purpose. It's not just a vehicle for profit disconnected from your soul. It's a living entity that grows and adapts as you grow and adapt.
So the business reflects the person.
It does. This personal reflection means the business resonates with your authentic purpose, attracting the right people, employees, partners, customers who are aligned with that authenticity. It creates a powerful magnetic field.
Like attracts like.
Kind of, yeah. Imagine a business where the founder's passion for a specific problem or their commitment to certain values is palpable in everything. That kind of alignment makes the entrepreneurial journey itself far more fulfilling. The inevitable challenges, the fast calls, slow calls, regrettable ones, become easier to navigate because you're building something deeply connected to who you are.
Something you truly believe in.
Exactly. Rather than just chasing a trend or a quick buck. This deep personal connection is ultimately what makes a business truly sustainable, not just for a season, but for the long haul. It allows the business to evolve naturally, alongside the person at its helm, shaping a legacy that truly reflects your unique fingerprint on the world. It's about building a life, not just a living.
Wow. Okay, so we've taken a deep dive today into this profound idea that in entrepreneurship, and really in life, the relentless pursuit of the right choice can often be a paralyzing illusion.
A real trap.
Instead, the real power, The true path to meaningful progress lies in consistently making better choices. Choices that are intentional, uniquely aligned with your values, your current context, and your realistic capacity. These are choices that empower you to move forward, even in small, gritty steps.
That's the key. Forward movement.
Rather than keeping you stuck in that debilitating grip of analysis paralysis. It's about building momentum, one intentional step at a time.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the entrepreneur's final advice, which resonates so deeply with everything we've discussed, is clear and incredibly empowering. Don't let the pressure of perfection paralyze you. Don't chase the right choice as if it's a treasure map.
Love that analogy.
Instead, ask yourself what's better not for the world, not for the crowd, but for you. And then move forward, imperfectly but with purpose.
Imperfectly but with purpose.
Which raises an important, deeply personal question for you, our listener, to carry with you. What better choice have you been putting off, perhaps for weeks or months, because you were waiting for it to be absolutely, unequivocally right?
That's a powerful question to sit with. Take a moment to think about that this week. Where can you shift from the elusive right to the impactful better in your own life or work? Whether it's a career move, a personal project, or a significant decision for your team. We encourage you to reflect on your own decision-making process and consider how this simple but profound reframing can unlock new possibilities, significantly reduce anxiety, and propel you forward with renewed clarity and intentionality. Thank you for diving deep with us.